Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show we have a talk about a Linux project, or open source project anyway, like distributions, a desktop environment, applications. We also chat about the news or any variety of topics from the community. Anything that's Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. So I'm Nate, a Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the OpenSUSE project. And with me today, I got just the scrumdiddlyumptious group of people. I've got Mike Chilson, Dale from Low Tech Linux, Jinda, Adam Grubbs, and Ben. How is everybody?
Excellent.
Yeah, doing good.
Fantastic. Well, be sure to do the straw poll if you have not done so already. Knock out that straw poll and tell us what you think of OpenIndiana.
Let's not say we did.
Or that.
Crickets.
Sorry.
You know,
I'm going to say this, Nate. This review is actually one of the ones I'm scared about.
Really? I don't get scared. Unless I'm up in a really high place with no railing. I was watching an episode.
Actually has me scared.
Yeah, I was watching an episode of Different Strokes. Does anybody ever watch Different Strokes back in the day?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's on Tubi. Anyway, I was watching with my kids because I hadn't seen it since I was a kid, and I don't remember any episodes. But but Arnold is definitely my favorite, which I think was the whole how they designed the show. But anyway, also the dad is like in his early 50s there, and he's a rough early 50s. I tell you what. But anyway,
yeah, he was. So was the French Prince of Bel-Air. That guy was young too when he did it.
Yeah,
I was shocked at how young he was.
People must have lived harder in the 70s and 80s, I guess.
Well, Archie Bunker was like what when it first came out, 49.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, rough 49. I'm sure there's makeup involved.
Yeah, but still, I'm 5-6 years older than the guy, and he.
Yeah, and then you look great.
As we say here in the South, rode hard and put up wet.
Yeah, yep. They say that, and they said it on here too. So, anyway, don't know why I said that. Make sure to do the straw poll. And on the docket for today, we're going to talk about OpenIndiana. We got some other like tech topics we want to get into as well, and then talk about the straw poll. But first, what are we doing in Linux and tech? Adam, we talked about this I think a couple days ago, 2-3 days ago. You gave up your ASUS laptop for a Snapdragon, and I was really interested in yes. So can you tell us a little bit about one, why, and two, what's maybe some standout features about this Snapdragon laptop?
Okay, so I had purchased a ASUS Zenbook S16, and it came with a Ryzen AI 9 365HX. I think it was 24 gig of RAM and a 1 terabyte SSD. Had a really nice 16-inch OLED panel, high resolution, 120 hertz. Pretty nice machine. Good price. Good stuff. So I had it for a couple days, and I had Windows on it, and usually Windows takes like a couple days to kind of settle down, right? With indexing and caching and all this other stuff when you do a first install, especially on an OEM install, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, all right, I'm gonna wait this out because I noticed the machine was pretty hot, and I don't mean like just warm. I mean it was pretty hot.
Oh, not like hot. Like it's this laptop is hot.
Not as a compliment, but like
okay.
Yeah, it was extreme, like overheating, like really hot. It was still fast, so it didn't feel like it was like throttling and like chugging, right? But it was just really hot. And then about the third day, like I'm sitting there like, man, it is still hot, and I'm just thinking about it in the back of my head. And I looked online to see if other people were having the same issue. Maybe it was just my unit. No, it's pretty common for that model, and some people had a really extreme examples. If before ASUS lowered the TDP, some people were actually getting burns on their legs from it, and they had people whose display cable, like the ribbon cable, would melt from the heat sometimes. And
that would be pretty hot, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Oh, trust me, when I'm telling you it's hot, it's like uncomfortable to the hand on the bottom of the machine, like picking it up after using it. Like
It's,
it's
yeah,
pretty
the thing
hot.
belongs in the trash.
But what's interesting is this is the 16-inch, and it has the AMD chip in it. But they also have a 14-inch that has the Intel Lunar Lake processor, and that one doesn't have any of the heat problems. It doesn't have any of the same thermal issues. So something about AMD pushing way too much in that chassis. Yeah, like I think it probably wasn't a great chip choice for that chassis, but the Lunar Lake one is equivalently performant, but doesn't have any of the heat and other problems. So I was
So,
like, well, my
real
main
quick
issue wasn't necessarily burning my
for
hand, because go ahead, all right, go ahead.
for us people that are not as smart, the Lunar Lake is
Mhm.
at the Core Ultra.
That is the Core Ultra Series 2.
Oh, Series 2,
So in
okay.
this case, this one had a Core Ultra 7258V, as
Okay.
in Victor.
Okay.
And so that was the Intel, but that was a 14-inch model. I wanted a larger screen than that. But I was willing to take 14 if if it came to it. So I
If it
thought
meant
about it,
not burning
and
your leg.
right. So the heat was an issue, but also not from like an environmental hazard issue, but more of a I know heat is bad for batteries. That's usually why gaming laptop batteries just take a dump after a short amount of time. Is because the heat from the GPU and CPU playing games and stuff. And so the heat in that laptop would eventually erode that battery much faster than I would have been happy with.
Hmm.
That was my concern. So I was going to exchange it, and I was initially thinking about that S14. I was like, okay, I'll get the Lunar Lake version of the Core Ultra 2. I'll get that, and then I was like, but what about the Snapdragon stuff? Now, I had initially thought about before buying anything, but I wasn't sure about the app compatibility and stuff, right? Because Windows on ARM being what it is. And I looked at all the apps that I use and stuff and saw that a lot of companies, especially in the past year, have really pushed for like ARM native versions of their stuff. But it does have, Microsoft calls it Prism, which is their ARM to x86 translation layer, similar to what Apple did with Rosetta on the Apple Silicon Macs. And so I was like, all right, whatever I run probably will run in under Prism. I don't have anything super exotic here. So I looked in the best machine I could find for a Snapdragon was a Surface Laptop 7. And that I got the Surface Laptop 7 15 with the Snapdragon Elite 16 gig of RAM and a 512 gig SSD. And I got it for just over $1,000. I was like,
Hmm.
it was under $1,100.
Did you get it on sale?
Yeah, it was $400 off.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, pretty big. And when I exchanged the ASUS, I actually got like $400 back. So I got a better machine for me and money back. So good times.
Yeah, for sure.
The 16 gig of RAM was a consideration because I'm like, well, 16 doesn't sound like a whole lot, but then ARM code is a lot smaller and takes up less memory than x86 code. So the more ARM native stuff I run, the more efficient it is. And I know that for a fact because on a previous M1 MacBook Pro I had, I only had 8 gig of RAM in that, and it ran tons of stuff with no problem. So I know that's a thing. So that's the story of how I came into owning a Surface Laptop 7.
So would you say overall what are you running on it now? Like a Windows or something else?
Yeah, it's Windows 11 on ARM. Yeah,
And then how much RAM does it have? Because if you said it, I missed it.
16.
16? Okay.
16. Yeah.
And what would you say is your baseline usage right now of RAM for doing whatever it is you do with it?
Is constantly pegged at 80 because Windows caches the crap out of stuff now.
Okay. Okay.
So basically, when it comes to looking at memory usage in Windows now, it's just don't look because it doesn't matter. You won't get an actual accurate amount because whatever you're not using is cached. So
okay,
it's going to look like you're constantly out of RAM, but you're really not, right? So I can give you an example of some of the workflows I've done that and how they performed, but
sure.
as far as memory usage, yeah, you can't really look. So I'd say my hardest whole thing was I had Edge open for the browser, which is really great for battery life, by the way. So I had Edge
Wait,
open
is
with
or is not? Is that true or is that?
it is, yeah.
Okay, okay.
It is on Windows. It is the most efficient browser. So I had Edge with I think it was about 12 tabs open, and I had a couple tabs in Windows Terminal, 2 of which were WSL2 running Ubuntu.
hmm
In there, I was using Claude Code and running 2 npm dev web servers for testing web page stuff. I had VS Code open doing some coding as well. I had my Telegram app open doing some chatting. I had Discord up doing some chatting. I had all the other stuff running in the background, that's in the system tray doing its thing. I had all this going, and it never skipped a beat. I never felt it was immediately responsive the whole time. It was it felt just as fast doing that as it would on my i9 desktop.
hmm
And I was on battery, and it didn't even matter. It didn't even
Wow.
at all on battery. And I was inside of the library doing this, and you could hear no fan noise the entire time. No fan noise at all. Doing all of that.
That's
That's
amazing.
probably my hardest one. But yeah, it's like right now I'm talking to you on it, right? I have my headset plugged in. I have my browsers and other stuff open. I just installed VirtualBox because apparently they have ARM support, so I was gonna try that. Yeah, it's a great machine.
Now, it really seems like, and this is just my impression, but it really seems like basically since the M series chips from Apple, that ARM has gone from just being a kind of cute toy to something that is really professional. Like that's
Right.
so
Pretty much, yeah.
and the Snapdragon is probably comparable to some level of M
Right.
chip, I imagine.
Now, this chip, while it has a Qualcomm badge on it, it's technically a Nuvia chip. The company Nuvia was making these, and Qualcomm bought them like right before they got them out the door. So
Is Qualcomm a problem? I mean, maybe there's something I just don't.
nah, I don't think they're that bad, but just more like I feel like they're getting credit for a company that they bought, right? Rather than
Okay.
so it makes it sound like Qualcomm built it in-house, but no, Nuvia did, and Qualcomm just bought them. So it's splitting hairs, but at the same time, it's sort of a thing. But
So then, my thought is on this, or what I'm thinking is, do you see this as like a death nail into x86, or do you see the potential of, because I mean the power consumption and things have been going, better on x86, while performance has been rapidly increasing on ARM. So I'm curious to think what you think the future, like 5 years from now, would probably like. Well, do you think ARM is going to be the a dominant, or do you think it's
5 years is hard to predict. I mean, when you consider that pretty much everybody, I mean, there are people with older Macs, sure, but Apple Silicon's been a thing for like 5 years now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but any Mac that would have been bought new in the last 5 years is going to be ARM. So that already is like a thing. The Snapdragon X Elite stuff and X Plus, like they haven't quite really lit up the stage on Windows yet on like PCs, and that's mainly driven by the app issue, the app compatibility thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Microsoft putting their eggs in the ARM basket with their Surface devices, because they do have Intel-based Surface devices, but those are classified as Surface for business. And so I think they did put their eggs in the ARM basket with their own devices, and I think that signaled a lot to app makers that like, okay, when Microsoft's serious about moving forward with ARM, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously Linux has been doing ARM for forever, so Linux is there, which I can talk more about that in a bit, but I think it will be another player in the thing, because right now when I compared that Lunar Lake Intel and the Ryzen AI 9 and this, they are all so similar that it's actually really difficult to choose one.
Really?
It's not the slam dunk that like Apple Silicon was over the Intel options at the time. Because
Okay.
I can get the Lunar Lake laptop when behaving properly, right? When it's working properly, because x86 has its own weirdness. It can get almost the same battery life as the Snapdragon with the compatibility of x86 and good performance and good GPU performance and all. Like, there's a lot still there. They're very competitive to the ARM devices, and so I think AMD and Intel have actually done an amazing job at getting what is otherwise kind of a kludgy mess, being the x86 x64 stuff, and making it competitive with the new player as well. And that's pretty impressive. Now, the other advantage that Intel and AMD have is their stuff scales up higher, right? So you can get desktop and server CPUs from them. There are ARM server CPUs, but they're not the same type of CPU. They're not meant for the same type of workload as an x86 one. And the same thing, desktops, you're pretty much just going to get, Intel on and AMD on desktops, right? At least right now. 5 years from now, I'm not really sure. I'm not very good at predicting the future on when it comes to that stuff, but I think there will be more ARM. I don't think they will totally supplant AMD and Intel in 5 or maybe even 7 years, is my guess. And
I agree
but
with
it's
that.
nice to have a choice.
Yeah, I actually did a deep dive on this about ARM and x86 processors about 3 or 4 months ago, and looking at it for application use. And the things I walked away from is that ARM is really, those processors are RISC-based, so they're simpler instruction set, but they're designed more for efficiency than performance. Okay. So they're made to, extend battery life, cut down on the number of instructions, so forth. Whereas an x86 type processor is really built for performance more than efficiency. And also the core architecture is totally different between the two. It's not unusual, like for a server, if you wanted an 8-core equivalent, you would literally have 8 ARM processors in that server. And you would have to have the OS that would recognize that and be able to use those like that. So that's kind of my walk away from what I learned when I did a deep dive on it.
Right. And as a bolt matrix there, a lot of the enterprise MDM and other stuff doesn't really support ARM, and that's kind of been a hold up for that in the business world as well.
Right.
At least on Windows. Mac OS stuff's pretty well supported at this point, but
yeah. I mean, you'd really have to re-architecture the OS at a certain level to use ARM processors. It's not just a simple recompile. So
yeah, there's some extra bits in there, but it's pretty impressive what Microsoft has done with this stuff. Windows 11 on ARM is actually really performant, and it functions. So unlike the days of Surface RT and Windows RT, where it will look like Windows, but it wouldn't. This actually does function like just standard PC stuff, right? And aside from gaming, generally speaking, you can just kind of use it. There's some like creative apps that are still a little behind, engineering apps that are behind, and gaming. But for the most part, like everyday use and even some developer use and other stuff, it's more than usable.
right.
Now, on the Linux thing, I looked into that before trying it, which my research into it led me to just not try it. There is a lot of missing functionality. Mainly, the biggest issue is power management is not very good with Snapdragon X Elite on Windows, or sorry, on Linux instead of Windows. Being not so much that like, oh, your battery life is bad, but like it can have many times where it just doesn't tell the fans to turn on and things like that, or like doesn't tell the thing not to clock itself to max and those sorts of weird things. So you could be sitting there and like suddenly like your machine goes to max clock and your fans never turn on, and suddenly your machine just shuts down and it's like molten, right? So you have those issues. You have GPU issues. The NPU is like pretty much non-existent on Linux, so that's a whole part of the chip that's just not being used. Just these kind of things, and I don't know whose fault all of that is. I don't really think it matters. The point is, it's just it's not ready for Linux use yet. I know there was Tuxedo was a Linux brand of computers that was looking to make an ARM-based laptop with Qualcomm, but I think that whole thing fell through, and so there goes that. I know System 76 has their own like ARM-based desktop thing. It's like super expensive though, but that's not the Snapdragon Elite thing that I'm running, right? So yeah, my research into the Linux compatibility and stuff was kind of like, I don't think I want to risk that. Yeah, I'm good.
Don't want to risk.
But that being said, oh, got him. Yep. This man. No,
who's a nerd?
That being said, it does have native WSL2 that is ARM, and the Ubuntu distro that is installed by default in WSL2, though you can install other distros as well. The Ubuntu is ARM based as well, and that works just great. It is super, super great, really performant, really good on memory as well. Like it didn't like the WSL container uses less memory on Windows on ARM than it did on my x86 machines, so that's kind of neat. And yeah, and then of course you get all the other Windows goodness and like all the Copilot Plus stuff that comes with it, and like Recall, which I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you, Recall is actually pretty good, just straight up. And yeah, you're all being captured by it right now, just so you know. So Microsoft has you.
Even if I'm not running Microsoft things.
You're right now. There's snapshots in my Recall.
Oh,
right?
okay.
If it is to be believed that Microsoft steals your stuff, then they got you all. Even though you're all also on YouTube, but
Right.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think there's going to be I think ARM will fill a place that the other processors were not able to, or at least not able to at a reasonable price. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's kind of a niche that it's going to take over if it hasn't already. You know.
Yeah, and they do have like various tiers of the Snapdragon, right? So I have the X Elite because it's Surface or whatever, but there are the X Plus category, which are a lower cost, lesser core, typical tiering kind of thing, right? So you can get X Plus devices that are much more affordable, like sub $1,000 ARM devices with X Plus in them, and those are still going to be just fine. Super usable. We're not talking like ARM-based Chromebook speeds here. We're talking solid i5 level speeds, right? And those would be great for people who don't quite want to hit over 1,000 or whatever on a machine. And so they're great. And yeah, I see people in the chat making their jokes. I appreciate that. I like the jokes.
Jokes are good.
But yeah, it's a great machine, and I'm kind of with you in a way, Nate. Like I definitely think that Windows 11 is better than 10. But would I run Linux on this? If it was pretty well supported, I could see a compelling reason. But right now, until that hardware support is like 1-for-1 with an Intel laptop or something, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I hear that. Now I do know that there is NPU support, at least I'm pretty sure from AMD in the kernel. It's not fully, but I don't know that it's fully anywhere yet. So and also there's some stuff in the OpenSUSE world as well for native NPU support in OpenSUSE as of April of this year. So,
Right.
but I don't know to what level, and I don't know like what would take advantage of it software wise.
That's the second part, right? Like getting the hardware support is one thing, but having a use case for it, right? Because these are not they're not super powerful AI processors when it comes like even the mid range or low end like NVIDIA GPU from like 3000 or 2000 series has way more performance than these, right? The key about the NPU in here is that it can be more efficient on like battery and other things if you have a specialized processor for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're looking for like performance, obviously like a dedicated GPU is going to be a way better thing. But yeah, because like so even on Windows 11 on ARM, you know, it's Copilot Plus stuff and all that. There's not a whole lot that really uses that NPU. Like there's stuff, but it's not all over the place. Like your GPU is going to get used more than your NPU. So it depends on the case, right? So I'm a little I wouldn't say disappointed. Disappointed is not the right word. I'm a little kind of like ambivalent, I guess, toward the NPU usage so far. Just in general. Like there's some really good use cases for it, and then there's some like, yeah, okay. You know, like that's fine. You know, some things that like you could have done that on the CPU, but it wasn't the point to do it on the CPU. The point was to like save battery and do it faster on the NPU, right?
Right.
So I think the question that people should ask about NPU based things is not so much could I have do I need an NPU to do this? It's more about will the NPU do this more efficiently than my GPU or CPU?
Right. That makes sense. So a couple of chats here concerning ARM. So the System 76 ARM desktop is not Snapdragon. It's meant for automotive development. I didn't even know that was a focus of System 76. Did we do that?
Yeah, they did do an ARM. Yeah, it's not Snapdragon, but it is like a really high powered ARM device. But yeah, like you said, it's meant for like automotive development. It's very, very niche, right?
Hmm. And also, Bolt Matrix says some Adobe products can use the NPU. So there's that.
Yeah, but Adobe's not Adobe's not in my home.
Yeah, I don't like their.
I don't like being held hostage and things.
Why not?
Hey Adam, what's your boot time on that machine? Is it pretty snappy?
Like
It's a
from
Snappy Dragon.
okay, so I actually have a little more about that. So boot time, like from cold, is about as fast as any modern Intel or AMD machine. So
Cool.
well, like sub 10 seconds, probably somewhere around 7 seconds. Like from power on to desktop is about 7 seconds.
Wow.
That being said, the thing about ARM is and this is wacky for like PCs, right? Is with AMD and Intel on Windows, for example, when you close it and it goes to you hope it goes to sleep. Let's assume it does. If it goes to sleep, it'll stay asleep for a certain amount of time, and then it will hibernate to to hold battery for a longer time, right? Then when you open it up, you got to basically boot into the machine again, right? But with ARM, it doesn't ever hibernate. It just sleeps. And it sleeps just like a phone or a tablet or something like that does. So when you open it up, it's just instantly there. In fact,
That's
the
interesting.
Windows Hello like IR camera thing logs me in by the time my laptop is completely open. So like when I open it up functionally, I'm in the desktop like immediately. So because it doesn't ever have to sleep and hibernate like that, like the way x86 does, even though the boot time is still fast, you never think about it because you're just opening it and it's just there.
Well, in fairness, just because I on my Core Ultra first series, whatever the 7, when I open it up, it's also there, but it's probably using more battery to accomplish that than the Snapdragon.
So this overnight, so I slept, I closed it when I went to bed around 11 and I woke up in the morning. It had lost 1% battery overnight.
Okay. I think more like 3 to 5, something like that.
Yeah, most modern x86 uses probably about 3 to 5.
Oh.
overnight, assuming it doesn't hibernate, right?
Right.
And so I used 1% overnight.
See, that's pretty
And
cool.
My time off charger totally, and this was usable time, not just like idle time sitting there. This was using it. I ended the day at 14 hours and 45 minutes of battery with 20% remaining.
Wow.
So I probably could have pushed it a bit over 15.
See, that to me is the compelling piece right there. So all the other bits and pieces aside, having that sort of battery life
Mhm.
is worth a lot to me.
And that was like using it, not babying it.
Right.
I didn't change power plans. I didn't do anything like that. I didn't reduce brightness, turn off my keyboard backlight. None of the stuff you usually do to try to extend your battery. I did nothing. I just used it. It's amazing. It's like I got all of the advantages of my Apple Silicon Mac without Mac OS.
See, I'd be dying to try different Linux I on there to see how that would go.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about hardware damage if power management is not properly implemented.
Right. No, I understand. So, Dale, you said you had a work issue laptop that had 2-3 days on a charge. That was Windows 10, but under Windows 11, it got 6 hours max.
Yeah, they forced Windows 11 on it. I didn't have any choice, and it's Windows is Windows, and it took me a little bit to get used to the difference between 10 and 11. But other than that, my biggest gripe on what I have is the battery life. I have to leave it plugged in almost all the time.
Yeah. And yeah, so Jay Lee, I guess, mentioned the cores as well. Yeah, it is a 12-core processor, and they are all the same core. There's not like a big little thing. It's just 4 clusters of 3 cores.
See, I kind of wonder if, like, going down the road, because I realize a lot of the instructions in the in x86 are not used as much. Like, there's some instructions just not older instruction sets that are not utilized
Right.
as much. And I kind of wonder if there is, I mean, I guess the whole being able to support old software, that's really the purpose of it. But at what point is, like, does the old software just not really matter? Especially like an open source. You know what I mean?
Hard to say. We've seen recent upheavals about that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but yeah, it's a great machine. It has a haptic trackpad like the Macs, where you click anywhere where it's not an actual button.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it actually has a nicer feel than the Mac one, because the Mac one, when you click it, it's like the whole trackpad clicks, but this actually feels like I'm pushing in on something, like I'm pushing a button, like in place.
cool.
It's actually a really cool feel.
That's
So
really
yeah,
cool.
the haptic trackpad's awesome.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be interesting to see what the mobile computing world does in the next 5 years. ARM is just very fractured, but if maybe more than one manufacturer.
And
Gets
Linux
around.
on Snapdragon works great as long as you use it through Windows. Yeah.
Well, that's funny. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting. Well, I'm interested in seeing how going down next, few weeks, months, whatever, how that computer shakes out for you. And it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, I think it's exciting. So, what was the Snapdragon? Who made it? Was
Qualcomm?
the brand Qualcomm? No, the laptop. Who manufactures the laptop?
Oh, Surface Laptop 7.
Oh, that's right. Cool. All right. Well, if you have any links about that, that would be that'd be groovy. Okay. So we'll go ahead and get to the straw poll. If you have not done so, there's still time to knock out a straw poll if you got, the time. Not too busy. So there's the link. Give it a few moments here, and I need to find the link so I can click on it. I lost the link. I'm a little slow today. I apologize. So the straw poll is on what best describes your experience with OpenIndiana, and see how that goes. So let me go ahead and refresh it one more time. See the results, and oh boy. So the majority, the plurality of the votes at 38% did not have a good time with it. And then secondly, at 23% did not have enough time, busy with work, life, etc. 2 votes for it's okay. 2 votes for text bingo, those are at 15%. And then just shifted. Now, not interested in doing the exploration was 7%, other was 7%, and no votes for it's amazing or it's good or not interested. So there we go. Yeah, I think OpenIndiana was definitely interesting. Did anybody here have like a successful GUI experience? All right. So
What do you mean by GUI experience?
well, you got to a graphic user interface and it did like it was intended to do.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Absolutely. But there was a problem. I saw a lot of people ran into this too in the Discord chat. You had to go get like the current, I guess like a daily build or beta build, because you could never install it with VirtualBox if you didn't have that. So,
Right.
but yeah, once I got past that, it was fine. It's not very polished, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
There's I think a lot of things missing, but I mean, it does work. I guess if you have Solaris software that you need to compile and run, but you wrote this legacy, this would be a good way to do it,
Mm-hmm.
But that would be about it, I think.
Well, let's go ahead and instead of having a response, let's go ahead and get into the actual exploration piece of it. So some of the rules is intended to talk about the different aspects of the operating system and discuss our experiences from using it. It's a discussion that should be objective and constructive. So I'm trying to stay away from unobjective statements on it. And we want to benefit the conversation as much as possible. The point is to highlight the positives but not ignore the lowlights of the project. So this is a labor of love for some. It is an open source project. So let's not poo-poo on it too much. So installation. What you actually pulled on a daily build to get that to work, Mike?
Yeah, I think it's either like the latest dev build. It's not a major release that's on the
Okay.
page. You actually have to go to. There's a link at the bottom of the download page to go get like the latest builds, dev builds. And the problem, what would happen is you would launch the live CD or the live USB, and it would never get you to a point to run the desktop. You could never log in, basically.
Right. That was my issue.
Yeah. And once you got that build, though, it went right through. I mean, there's they tell you there's a default username and password to use to get in the first time.
So Jack and Jack were what I found, and also I found user and user. I tried quite a few, but let me get to the so a little bit about OpenIndiana. Oops, I got this in the wrong order. So for those that are that don't know, so OpenIndiana is a free open source operating system that carries the torch of OpenSolaris, a Unix-based OS derived from Unix System 5 Release 4. Its story begins with Sun Microsystems Project Indiana, led by Debian founder Ian Murdoch, which aimed to create a community-driven open source version of Solaris called OpenSolaris. Launched in 2005. OpenSolaris brought enterprise-grade features like ZFS, DTrace, and Solaris containers to a broader audience. However, when Oracle acquired Sun in 2010 and discontinued OpenSolaris in favor of the proprietary Solaris 11 Express, uncertainty loomed over the open source community. In response, a group of developers led by Alistair Lumsden forked OpenSolaris to create OpenIndiana in September 2010. announced at the JISC Center in London. The goal was to preserve the open source community-driven alternative to Solaris, ensuring continued development and free access to security updates and bug fixes. OpenIndiana is built on Illumos, a fully open source fork of the OpenSolaris kernel, initiated by former Sun engineers to replace Oracle's closed source components. By 2011, OpenIndiana fully transitioned to Illumos using the GNU compiler collection instead of Oracle's Sun Studio, and it adopted the image packaging system, or IPS, for software management. Today, OpenIndiana, stewarded by the Illumos Foundation, aims to be the go-to OpenSolaris-based distribution for production servers and desktops. It supports x86, 64, and SPARC systems, and I guess recently they dropped 32-bit, offering robust features like ZFS for advanced storage, DTrace for real-time debugging, and Solaris-compatible tools. While it faces challenges like fragmented hardware compatibility, lists, and smaller community compared to Linux, OpenIndiana remains a powerful enterprise-grade OS for those seeking a free open-source Unix alternative with Solaris's legendary stability and features. So, all that said, I couldn't get I was able to install a terminal-based. I got to play around there for a while. I couldn't get Tmux to compile for it because they didn't have it in the repositories. So, if I could have had that, I think I'd been pretty happy. But it did seem like software is a bit light on it. So, Mike, you said you got the GUI to install by a daily build. Is that what you said?
Yeah, well, the latest dev build that they have out there. Yeah.
Where did you get the dev build? Because I'm on the downloads page. And
There's a link at the bottom of the download page, I think. Let me go look. Yeah, I think I went to one of these alternative mirrors,
Okay.
and it is, gosh, I can't remember. I thought it was a link straight to it. Hold on.
Under testing, maybe? Nope.
Yeah, I found I was having a problem, and I did a search on it, and I found a post where they said go to the repository and get the latest development build, and so I went. I think it's under, hold on. Maybe build. No, it's not it. Well, there was some discussion in Discord about it too. Let me see what they said.
I need to probably spend more time on Discord, apparently.
Yeah,
That's where all the cool kids hang out.
it's way down. Okay, here's the link. I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, that's the wrong link. That's the wrong email address. Let me copy. See if this does it. Yeah. It says it's at the bottom of the page. It's way down at the bottom of the page. I guess it's under the 606 one.
Oh, the test one?
No, not the test one, but the 606 one. The 2025-60606.
Yeah,
That was one.
Okay.
I think the one on the page is actually yeah, that's actually from April.
Yep. April 2nd.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess I
So-
should have done that.
Well, you wouldn't have known if you didn't know to look, and I just happened to stumble on it. So that, to me, that was kind of a downer, you know.
So it looked like OpenIndiana was uses Mate by default.
hmm
Okay.
Yep. For some reason, the Mate terminal doesn't work though. The X and the GDK terminals work, but the Mate one does not for some reason. It could be because this is a still in development version, you know.
Yeah.
But
it did at least give you a GUI that you could log into.
oh yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yep. I mean, it's nice, it's simple, but you know, it's not as it's not as polished as what most Linux distros are, in my opinion. But if you, like I said, if you need to run Solaris apps, this is the way to do it, you know. So.
Yep. And so that actually brings me like kind of to the next part of the like, what is the valid business reason for running OpenSolaris? I don't mean this as a poo-poo, but what is the what's the valid business reason? Why would I choose to run OpenSolaris? So I did a little bit of digging and looking for like some business use cases for why you'd use it, because it's obviously not being targeted to the gamer or the maybe someone who's like a tech enthusiast that just wants to mess around with operating systems. But so I think the number one is ZFS file system for advanced storage management.
Right.
So that seems like the number one. But so because Linux supports ZFS, but it's not as seamlessly integrated or optimized as it would be on OpenIndiana, it looks like. So the business reason for that would be managing large-scale data storage. Cloud providers, data centers, or media companies benefiting from ZFS's robust data protection scalability. So also ZFS snapshotting enables near instant backups and rollbacks, and reducing downtime and data loss risks in mission critical environments.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't require a graphic user interface, obviously, to function properly.
Right.
And so
You know, I did some work once for a customer that used Solaris. I actually worked with it quite a bit, and it was a GAIT analysis lab. And what they would do, this was early on before you see this is pretty normal today, but they would have infrared cameras set up around the room, and they would take a child and put like if they had a problem walking, they would put the little reflective balls on their joints and have them walk back and forth, and the machine would capture all that data and then render it into graphs and a 3D model of them walking, you know. So, you know, there's a lot of applications like that are still out there and are running on. I mean, it would definitely be a very niche thing, you know.
Right.
But there are a lot of custom apps out there for Solaris that are still running. That one's still running.
Right.
So,
how long ago was that?
maybe 10 years ago.
Okay.
And it was getting long in the tooth at that point. So the last I heard, they're still using that system.
So another reason that I think you just kind of touched on was the so Solaris compatible ecosystem for legacy applications, and I can't imagine there's a lot of these, but so OpenIndiana maintains binary compatibility with Solaris, allowing businesses to run legacy Solaris applications without modification. Many enterprise applications, particularly in finance, telecommunications, and government sectors, were developed for Solaris and rely on specific libraries and tools. So it seems like a pretty clear business reason there. So large, slow-moving organizations, it looks like, that have something of consequence built on them that would be too costly to rewrite or migrate to Linux.
Right.
Which
A lot of universities still run a lot of Solaris applications too in engineering schools. I mean, there are. I mean, I know 2 people that have to deal with 4 Solaris machines every day as administrators, because the software that they use there is, there's not a PC version of it. So,
Mm-hmm.
but,
I wonder if it would run on any of those old Sun stations. Like, I think probably Spark. I just wonder. I mean, I don't have one to test it. I'll never have one, probably. So then another one which I had no idea about was DTrace. So OpenIndiana includes DTrace, a dynamic tracing framework that provides real-time, low-overhead insights into system performance, application behavior, and kernel activity. While Linux has tools like eBPF, DTrace is more mature and tightly integrated into the Lumos kernel, offering a simpler learning curve for deep system diagnostics.
we used to do C++ development on those machines,
Okay.
and they were really good at providing tools, any kind of tool you needed. You never had to write your own tools with Solaris. That's one thing. All the development tools were there. So it's just interesting that this is still around.
Right.
Uh,
So the valid business reason for DTrace is that for businesses running performance-sensitive applications like databases, HPC clusters, or real-time systems, DTrace enables rapid troubleshooting and optimization, reducing downtime and operational costs, which is particularly valuable in environments where pinpointing performance bottlenecks quickly translates to revenue protection. So I guess that makes sense. And I imagine it's not very quick moving either, so it's probably a little easier to target than Linux. So I think also enterprise grade stability and predictability. That's another one. So OpenIndiana inherits Solaris' reputation for rock solid stability, designed for long running mission critical systems. So the kernel is optimized for enterprise workloads and prioritizes stability over frequent updates. While like Linux distributions, it's more a rapid release cycle. So industries like finance, healthcare, telecommunications, where system uptime is critical, benefits from OpenSolaris, predictable behavior, and robust architecture. So bank running transaction processing systems can rely on OpenIndiana's proven stability to minimize outage, avoiding costly disruption. So that's the cost savings over Solaris, looks like, is another one. This one I know nothing about. Maybe Mike or Adam. So Crossbow for advanced networking. So OpenIndiana's Crossbow networking stack provides advanced features like virtual NICs, bandwidth management, and flow control natively integrates into the OS, while Linux offers similar capabilities via TC or Open vSwitch. Crossbow is designed for simplicity and performance in enterprise environments. So ISPs for delivery networks can leverage Crossbow for efficient traffic management. I think zones for lightweight virtualization is another reason. So they have Solaris containers provides lightweight OS level virtualization, which with minimal overhead compared to Linux's container solution like Docker or LXC. Zones are tightly integrated with ZFS and DTrace, offering seamless resource isolation and monitoring. So companies deploying multi-tenant environments such as hosting providers or software as a service platforms can use zones to maximize resource efficiency and security, reducing hardware costs and improving scalability. So some of the trade-offs. OpenIndiana excels in those areas. Linux has a larger community, broader hardware support, and a more extensive software ecosystem, which may be critical for business prioritizing flexibility or cutting-edge features. OpenIndiana's smaller community and limited driver support can pose challenges, particularly in newer hardware, consumer-grade use cases. However, for business with specific needs such as Solaris compatibility, advanced storage, or enterprise scalability, OpenIndiana has some advantages. So, to kind of wrap that up, business might choose OpenIndiana over Linux to leverage its enterprise-grade features like ZFS, DTrace, and zones, maintain Solaris compatibility, and avoid proprietary licensing costs. It's particularly suited for organizations in data-intensive, performance-critical, or legacy Solaris environments such as financial data or telecom providers, where stability, observability, and cost efficiency are paramount. So, anyway, that seems to be like what I found out of that. I don't know if that what that means to y'all. So, Adam, I know you are in the big data world, right?
Okay.
Well, of any of us here, you're probably more so than us. Have you seen or used any OpenSolaris system in production? Or Solaris system?
No.
For that matter? No.
Yeah. I have not come across those, no.
So I wonder, is
The most of the Unix stuff that I've come across has been AIX or HBUX.
so I'm kind of curious to know if does HP or Dell support in their server lines? I wonder if like they're even like testing against it now.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, usually the choice in running something like that, in my experience, has just been if the vendor calls for it.
Right.
Like if the product you're purchasing calls for Solaris, then you have to make that judgment call of like, does this work with the rest of our environment? Because while it might have various advantages with, ZFS and other things, their implementation of jails, etc. Like if it doesn't fit into the rest of your infrastructure, tooling really, then it's not super useful. If you can't get your compliance agents to work on it, then it's a non-starter. If your configuration and infrastructure as code pipelines don't really work properly with it, another time non-starter, right?
Right.
You have a lot of stuff around the OS decision that almost like that are way more important than the OS decision. And ultimately what it comes down to is if you have a product that a company is trying to sell that is running on top of something like Solaris, then that's going to be a hard thing to sell when a lot of places have their infrastructure around Linux and Windows servers. Because it's all the other tooling, right? Like is my logging agent, my like logging extractors and stuff, are those going to work under Solaris? I mean, you could rely on something simple like ASUS log or something like that, but even that's not really a viable thing. Like, is my Cribble agent going to run on there? Is my Splunk agent going to run on there? Do I have good Prometheus support for metrics? It's all of that makes the choice. And then of course, if the product being offered on OpenSolaris or on OpenIndiana or any of these are going, then like you're like, okay, what about the competition who's running it on Linux or on Windows, and we can just drop them in compared to this.
Right. Yeah,
That's where
I
all
think
kinds of
I
falls
think
apart.
the real market for this, Nate, is legacy support, and I think that's really it.
Yeah, if you have Solaris deployments with some weird, mainframe type stuff or, mainframe adjacent type work, right? You have some legacy Unix thing from the 70s or 80s and even 90s, and you're just like, I need to keep this going because we don't have a replacement for this feature or this functionality. That's what it's for. I don't think you're going to get some, some like SaaS developer, like our whole platform's on Solaris, on OpenIndiana, no, they're.
I mean, like that project I told you guys about, the gate analysis system. I mean, that was a 2-year project. That's a huge amount of technical debt.
Right.
And to go through and try and move that to another platform when you can just get an x86 box, load this up and recompile it on this, and it works, So that's the beauty of it. To me, that's the only market it has. Yeah.
The things that people forgot about and we're like, oh wait, we can't get rid of that.
Right. Exactly. I always wondered what that machine did in the corner, you know?
Yep. Yep.
And the funny thing is, it would
That
probably
thing with
run
the wood
forever.
grain in the corner. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
that wood grain trim, and
You know how much I would love to see a data center with wood grain servers. Just saying, that'd be awesome.
so ScrubGhost says we're still running an ancient Unix app at work. They put together a couple of projects to try and replace it over decades. Still using it. So
Yep. That's really it. Because if it's new, then it's going to be Linux or Windows.
right. Sean says up next, Solaris AI. It's bound to happen someday.
No, no.
So Dale, you can
Yeah.
pipe in and just say that. So you had vendors at farmers markets. Oh, that's
Yeah,
that's us.
Sweetie runs a farmer's market. You're talking about the 3D printer, so
Oh,
I
okay,
just threw it in.
Okay.
We had somebody at the farmer's market selling wee little kids' toys from a 3D printer.
Ooh, that is a controversial topic.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Is
That
it
is a very controversial thing. Oh yes.
farmers markets
Because
or 3D
a lot of
printers?
no farmers markets are not super controversial. No, the 3D selling 3D printed crafts and stuff at these markets, at these art things and craft fairs and stuff, because you have artists who are creating things by hand and putting a lot of effort and work into them, and they charge accordingly, right, for their materials and for their labor. And then you have Buddy over here who 3D printed something, selling it for 10% of the other people's stuff, and it's like it kind of devalues the other things, and like people are just like, what are you doing here? And like it's a very controversial kind of thing.
Yeah, it's true.
That's interesting.
And yeah, and they're all selling like the same 3D prints too. Like
Oh,
it's just
that's
some things they got off like some various Thingiverse thing,
Thingiverse,
and
yeah.
like they're just selling that, yeah. And it's like it's cheap, but it's like, are you gonna buy the handcrafted toy dinosaur for $15, or are you gonna buy this like $2 3D printed thing? Most people are like, it's a dinosaur, I'm giving it to my kid, or it's a dinosaur, whatever. But like, yeah.
So the real solution is don't 3D print it.
Don't let those people in.
No. CNC
Yeah,
it.
that is the solution. Right. If it's metal, then like it's suddenly better. Yeah.
Or wood.
But no, like the real solution is to jury the event and make sure those people are part of it, because that's the equivalent of going somewhere where everyone's selling handcrafted goods and you bought a bunch of stuff off Temu and Wish and you're selling it there. It's like, what are you even doing, right? That's why Etsy sucks now. Etsy used to be handcrafted, stuff people made.
Yeah.
Now it's just a bunch of people selling stuff off Temu and Wish and Amazon and AliExpress or whatever.
Yeah, Etsy's terrible.
Etsy sucks now. Yeah, and it's the same. It's that behavior, but on the microcosm of the farmers market craft fair thing, and so that should just not be allowed. That's not with the ethos of the event.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I never thought of it either.
My wife, she's a vendor at many craft fairs and stuff, and this is very close to us, this whole thing, so that's why I brought it up.
That's a good point. Never would have thought of that.
It is.
So playing devil's advocate here, what if the design is released on an MIT license?
I don't think the license is the problem.
No, I mean, what I'm saying is that license gives you the right to do anything you want to with it.
Sure, but the craft fair also has their own license of letting you not come.
Right. No, I'm just saying it's hard to police something like that because.
Right. So there's nothing wrong with like me taking a thing and 3D printing it for myself or for a friend or whatever. It's the fact that they're going to an event where the spirit of the event is for artisanal creations to be sold and exchanged.
Oh, I got you.
And you're coming in there with dollar store.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. I never thought about it.
What if? Again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. What if you are a skilled 3D artist and you print some of the things that you've designed, like they're your unique designs, not Temu whatever, but things that you.
No, I don't think that is the problem. So the 3D printing itself is not the problem.
Okay.
If you are the artist and you create a bespoke thing and you 3D print the parts to put it together and stuff, that's not the problem. The problem is they took the lowest common denominator toy dinosaur, put it in their 3D printer a billion times, whatever, and then are selling a box of those.
Right.
No sanding, no painting, no extra effort, just like the raw plastic, and it's shaped like a dinosaur, and they're just like, this is good enough, right?
Okay,
Okay.
I would agree with that.
That kind of stuff.
Like low
Yeah, I
effort
agree.
anything.
Yeah,
I
'cause
agree.
the whole point of the event is to put effort in, right? Whether it be creating stuff or creating food or that kind of thing. Like it's celebrating the effort of people, and to go in there and literally be the LLM of the craft fair, it's like, come on.
I gotcha.
Pretty wild.
So someone starts like printing off pictures of AI generated art on canvas. That would be
Right. Like
yeah.
what? Like wouldn't you feel like if they didn't tell you it was AI art, right? Because these people are not telling you, like, hey, I 3D printed this and put very little effort into it most of the time. They're just like, oh yeah, here's some dinosaurs. They're 3D printed if you know what 3D printed stuff feels like, and so the same idea. It's like, well, I came to this like art gallery to see like cool art and buy like original prints or whatever, and Buddy over here has got DALL-E loaded up and he's on his HP inkjet, like what is he doing here?
Microsoft Paint. Yeah, okay. I get it. All right, sorry about that side, whatever. But anyway, so for back to OpenSolaris, OpenIndiana. Is anybody here going to be using it in a server or desktop function?
No.
So my guess is I'm probably not the target audience for it. Probably pretty safe.
Yeah, I'm
Just saying.
probably not a target audience for it either.
If they just would have had like Tmux or Screen working, like, or maybe I just didn't do it right, but it would not be a bad
Not to be a hardball, Nate, but I wouldn't touch that distro with a dang 10-foot pole.
It's not a distro.
Sorry, I wouldn't touch that OS with a 10-foot pole.
Okay. Well, that's fair. I thought it was fun to explore and to mess around with and to bang my head against for a while. I think I downloaded a lot of stuff. But anyway. So,
Yeah,
all right.
they certainly don't make it easy for you to try it out. That's for sure.
No, maybe they don't want to necessarily.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
It's not a tinker's toy.
Well, it's
No.
Tinker's toy, but a special kind of Tinker.
Yeah.
I guess then here's another question. If, let's say, you're not going to use any of the commercial proprietary operating systems out there. No, okay. Let's say you can't have Windows, Mac, or Linux. They just disappeared. What would you do?
Ghost BSD.
Ghost BSD?
Here. That's sort of like my last resort. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would take Ghost BSD over this. No lie.
Absolutely.
What?
Because honestly, Ghost BSD, in my experience, having used it off and on several times, it is far more desktop ready than Indiana is, truth be told.
Yeah. Indiana's just not very polished, it seems. I mean, they don't have a GUI update manager.
No.
You everything is very simple. I mean,
It seems very terminal driven on that one.
yeah.
See, I don't mind that.
So I think I don't mind that either too much, but I mean, there's not a lot of apps compiled for it. That's one issue. I mean, you can get LibreOffice and some of the basic stuff, but I don't know. You know, I don't
I
see.
wouldn't place it on a average run-of-the-mill ho-hum everyday user's computer.
No, not at all.
Like your mom and pop shop kind of thing. No,
Yeah.
that's taking it a little stretchy.
Yeah, like I said, I think the only real market for it is where you're trying to support legacy software that runs on Solaris.
Yeah, it's own beast, so to
Yeah.
speak.
But it's interesting. I will give it that. I mean, it's interesting that someone has put the effort into it to keep it warm.
Yeah, I mean, there's a market for it, sure, but I mean, I wouldn't give it to the masses personally.
Right, right, right.
I'm just curious. What about you, Adam? If Mac, Windows, and Linux went away, what would you go to?
If Mac, Windows, and Linux disappeared, what would
Yeah,
I go to?
Yeah, what would you use for
Yeah.
personal? Don't think of it from
If
a work
anything.
perspective. From like a
iPad OS?
iPad.
Yeah, iPad OS.
The iPad.
When I said-
Android.
I'd get like I'd get an iPad Pro and a keyboard dock.
Okay, let's
roll
move
out.
let's move iPads. Let's move iOS and Android out of it too.
Oh,
Oh,
iOS,
God.
Android, Mac, Linux, and Windows are all gone.
Yes,
All of it.
Then
All gone.
I just go to just enjoy cars. I don't even give a crap about computers anymore at that point. Like, I mean, what is there? Like, you're really like, what? I'm gonna run Temple OS? Like, come on. Like,
what about Haiku?
no. Haiku? Well,
Yeah.
okay. Well, in this hypothetical world, if they're all gone, then all the app developers turn to things like Haiku. So now Haiku's good, I guess. Like,
But
because that's the issue. Like, you can take away all the platforms, but I guess all the developers just go to another platform. So now the new Haiku's the new Windows? I don't know. Like, it's
Okay, I want to change my answer. I want to run the Timex Sinclair 1000. That's what I want.
dang.
yeah.
I'm sticking with
Sinclair.
Ghost. Thank you.
the problem is like all of the like alternative platforms are super old, right? Because the others have just kind of dominated for so long.
So
And it's
Yes.
like, yeah, let me hit up my Amiga workbench and
Well, you got
I'm
BSD.
on the roll, you know. Like,
You got a bunch of flavors of BSD out there.
so
Is
there's actually
GNU heard?
you know, people also vote for the Green Party too. So I mean, like, there are people who want to choose bad things. Like, that's fine.
so Scrub
Like,
says
you could choose to throw away your vote, and just like you could choose to throw away your computer. Is a controversial take, but I think something running a really awful OS is still e-waste.
yeah. So Scrub says Commodore 64 Basic. I mean, there's a donut shop in somewhere in around Indianapolis that still uses 2 Commodore 64s for their point of sale system. I don't know how. Must be cash only.
I walked into a automobile repair shop one time, and they were running their business on the Commodore 64.
Really? I mean,
Oh,
if
yeah.
you can do it, almost seems like it's not even possible. But I mean, I think there's
Is
an open
GNU
source.
heard?
Yeah, GNU heard. I guess is that a
Yeah, is
thing?
GNU heard still a thing?
I don't know. But there's open source Amiga Workbench alternatives now too. And Arita, cash only is my love language. That's funny. What about you, Jinda? Just walk away from it all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got an RC monster truck. I think I'll go play with that instead.
Oh. What about you, Dale?
I guess BSD, but I don't know which one because I don't have much experience with them.
I was curious.
Well-
Just some thoughts.
Well, for me and Ada, it would probably be either, I don't know, FreeBSD or GhostBSD if I had to choose between the two. Yeah. Because honestly, it would probably be Ghost, though, as these days, I'm starting to get to the point where I want my stuff to work, and that's just me.
Nope, I get it.
Can somebody clarify for me what the difference is between FreeBSD and GhostBSD?
No.
Okay.
Ghost BSD has it all set up for you with either XFC or Mate. It has a GUI updater, package manager, stuff like that. FreeBSD, you install it, but then you have to put what you want on top of it. It's sort of like the Arch or the Gen 2 versions of BSD,
Okay.
but not as involved.
Right. Yeah,
Thank you.
FreeBSD would be like the server product, and then just Ghost BSD would be the workstation product.
Okay.
Yep. I don't really know enough about
Yeah,
BSDs.
it's more, FreeBSD, like I said, is more manual. It's like you said, it's more like a server. But if you want it completely pre-done, go with Ghost. So
Scrubgo says Ghost used TrueOS for a while and switched back to FreeBSD. All right. So, all right. I guess move on to housekeeping. So next week is a news flight night. We're going to have just talk about news topics. It's like open mic night, but more toward the news. If you have any news topics, please share them. You can go to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com. I'll hopefully pick that up. And but if you have any distro suggestions, application advertiser, poll ideas, fire them away. I personally think it's a lot of fun when a distribution is kind of a
Outlier.
so for like a train wreck. I like train wrecks. I think they're fun, and so I think this is fun. All right, so I want to get to the news and open discussion. First, I did promise Ben that we would. He said he did some
talk
laptop
about
upgrades.
something.
Yeah. So Ben's got a laptop upgrade.
It was the epitome of, I don't even know what to say. Pretty much, my dad and I got up this morning, we went outside, and we had to take the bottom off as usual. Then we had to take the battery out and the keyboard, which, oh my God, what a pain this was. We actually ended up losing one of the screws in this doggone thing on the floor, and we have no idea where the heck it went. But luckily, he had a spare laying around somewhere in one of the drawers in the garage, so thank God for that. And we had to pry the keyboard up, but in the haze of it all, we luckily got the 64 gigs of RAM all sorted. So, long story short, it was for us tall guys with big hands. Oh, it was quite the experience. But
Did you bang your
it
head on
was
the underside
fun.
of the table, like looking for the screw?
No.
Oh,
I was afraid I was going to do that, but
that'd have been great.
it's running better now is the important thing.
That's good. Yeah, more memory makes
But
things
luckily,
great.
but he did say that we are not going through that malarkey again. He said basically, that's the last major upgrade we're doing on this, unless, the Wi-Fi or something like that, which is easily accessible, happens to go kaboom, then fine. But, beyond that, it's not happening again. So, but yeah, like I said earlier before the start of the show, Windows 11 is causing me a bit of headache, so I might just sack that OS and put something Linux in its place because honestly, Windows 11 is starting to make me grow gray hairs. So, yeah,
Machine is
I don't
this?
know.
What you're talking about?
What?
What computer is this you're talking about? What model?
It's a Dell Precision 7530, Adam.
Oh, okay.
It's a dual graphics model, the 15-inch. It's got a AMD WX 4150 in it, and even with the graphics switching disabled, last night I encountered an NTFS write error BSOD when I was gaming on it, and I don't know what could cause that, but I think it's like a drive issue or something. I don't know.
That could be. Who knows?
It's a Samsung 980 NVMe disk, and I don't know how prone those
did you
are
check
to
the
failure. But
smarts? So there should be. I'm pretty sure Windows has like the smart statistics, smart health. So look into that. I want
yeah,
to say
I'll
it's,
look at that and see what it says.
Yeah.
Yeah, because and that's in disk management, isn't it?
I don't know.
I'll look it up, see where it is.
So I know
Because
like
yeah, right now I'm booted in. Right now I'm booted into Debian on another drive, and I'm not having that issue. So
I know like right now my NVMe here says the smart stat says this device appears to be working as expected, and then I have an NeTAC SSD. It's a 1 TB.
I have Gparted installed on Debian.
Says
I don't know if that would tell.
the smart firmware is not reporting a failure, but there are early signs of malfunction. This might not point to
Where are
another
you
device
checking
failure.
this? What app is this?
This is Info Center on Plasma.
Oh yeah. Well, I do have Zero Linux on my flash drive that has KDE on it
So did you say it was blue screening on Windows because of the SSD?
because of an NTFS error.
Okay, yeah, I would download Crystal Disk Info
Okay.
and have a look at the drive health in that.
Yeah,
Info
Crystal
gives you a
Disk
ton of
Info,
stuff,
yeah.
so
Yeah, I'll take a look at that one. Yeah, because I know Kerry Holtzman has used Crystal Disk Info sometimes to check drives, and
And
I'll download that and see what it says.
so Joe Panico says Samsungs are very reliable, Ben. And Scrubgo says
Yeah.
Samsung also has an app to interrogate disks, so you may want to check that as well.
Yeah.
yeah, Joe is
I'll,
right. Samsungs are generally pretty reliable. I don't think it's necessarily the SSD's problem though. Some machines, the NVMe controllers could be really touchy with certain brands and certain models.
Yeah. So you think it might be a machine thing, Adam?
Now I know you just
I would, yeah. Go ahead.
It might. Well, it's the LTSC version of Windows that I'm running.
Why?
I don't know. Because it was minimal. But I'll probably just download stock Windows 11 and just debloat it instead.
so
Yeah.
I've had
Yeah.
a machine a while ago that it was having ButterFS errors being thrown, and that ended up being
Yeah.
a RAM failure. I know you said you just upgraded the RAM, so it's probably not that. But
RAM failure.
Yep.
Okay. Well,
so
all I did was put in 2 black team group sticks of RAM, and getting to the RAM underneath the machine is fairly easy. So if I have to replace that, then so what? But
so you can also run like a mem test on it too.
yeah, because I
suppose.
know most distros have that by default. That's fairly easy.
Yeah, I just use like
yeah,
the MX
System.
Linux installer makes it easy, and so does Antix for that.
Yeah, I have MX on my flash drive. I can easily boot that up and just run mem test on it.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
happy
well,
upgrading,
moving
good
on.
sir.
Thank you. And yeah, it's running plenty fast, so it was a successful upgrade. But yeah, I think I've maxed this thing out as far as I want it to go. So
Oh, and I know Dell
And
and HP have a
hopefully
BIOS
Ricky
test you can
will
run
be-
for the mem test as well.
and Ricky will be back next week, hopefully, and chill with us again. So let's see what the heck is this.
Well, neat. So I want to get to Dale. You said you have there's a plasma keyboard, like an on-screen plasma keyboard, that is now being developed or in the works.
Yep, in the works. And if you run KDE Plasma and Wayland on a touch screen device like a tablet, the Malite keyboard is your only option. It's not very actively worked on right now, and the latest release was July 21, 2022, and it's not a KDE project. Now there is a KDE project for a virtual keyboard, and it's simply called Plasma Keyboard. I'm surprised they didn't call it K Plasma Keyboard.
Or K keyboard.
K Keyboard, yes, indeed. It is not released at this time, but I sent you the link so you can share that with people. And you can actually build it, or not build it, but install it on Tumbleweed, because somebody took the time and effort to make a, what is it, OBS repository,
Yep.
Pac-Man repository, public, and you can do an OPI or an OPI plasma-keyboard and install it in Tumbleweed. I have it running on my laptop that converts into a tablet, and it already works better than Malite keyboard for me.
So this Qt virtual keyboard includes customizable keyboard layouts and styles with dynamic switching. That's cool. Predictive text input with word selection, character preview and alternate character view, automatic capitalization and space insertion. Scalability to different resolutions, supports different character sets, Latin, simplified, traditional Chinese, and many others. Right to left and left to right input supported. Hardware key support for 2-way and 5-way navigation. I wonder what that even means. Does anybody know what that means?
No.
Handwriting support with gestures for full screen input. Audio feedback, cross-platform functionality. It supports both Qt Quick and Qt Widget applications. So I think it would be cool if, when the keyboard pops up, if it's sized like any full screen windows or whatever, if it's sized those automatically too, kind of like an Android or iOS. But anyway,
I might be able to show you, get this laptop to wake back up. I might be able to show you a little bit of it.
careful, don't break your screen off.
Eh,
Okay, this is the best I can do. If I bring up, say, a terminal, there's the keyboard. If you can see it.
Yep, I sure can. Now,
Yeah, wow.
can you full screen the keyboard, the terminal? I just want to see what happens. So is the bottom of it
Perfect.
then at the top of the keyboard?
I'm really not sure. It's a good question. I don't know.
Okay, open up a browser window. I'm sorry, I'm having you dance, monkey, dance. Can you open up a browser window?
Command me.
Looks like it. Looks like it's yeah, 'cause I see the text at the bottom. So yeah, it looks like it. Now, now what happens if you make the keyboard go away? Is there like a button to make the keyboard fall away?
There is a button. There was a button. I did see a button. There's usually a button right here for it. I don't know why it's not showing up. But it is still a work in progress. Keep that in mind.
Yeah. Oh, that's neat.
Oh, right there it is. The little down arrow right there. Boom. And then when I touch the input again, it comes back up.
That's very cool.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
It actually works. For me, it works better than Malite.
Yeah, that's neat. I like it. I'll have to check that out. I have a silly old HP tablet that an x86 based one that I have Tumbleweed on. I think, unless my son blew it away. I'll have to check. So he's playing with Fedora for a while. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, that's neat. Oh, very cool. All right. So, did anybody have anything they wanted to talk about? Any news topics they thought were particularly interesting?
The only thing that I noticed everybody talking about is the fact that Linux went to 5%.
Oh yeah, that is true.
To me, it did it in a short amount of time. I mean, it was pretty steady at like 1 or 2%, took years, and all of a sudden it seemed to jump. I don't know if I'm right on that, but
Yeah, no.
it
So I
seems
guess
to be.
it took like a year to go from 4 to 5, and like almost 2 years to go from, I think, 3 to 4, something like that.
Yeah. So I guess the popularity is getting drastically more, which is all has good things and bad things to it, of course, but hopefully mostly good.
So does anybody? I heard that on Destination Linux, I believe it was, and then somewhere else, I think, or This Week in Linux, I think. Do do you think this is a trend that's going to continue, or do you think the rug is going to get pulled out? So I'm not always an optometrist. A lot of times I can be a pessimist. It's a joke. Optometrist. Okay. Anyway, fell flat. That's all right. Most times they do. So, do you think this is a trend that's going to continue like that, or do you think it's the rug's going to get pulled out and something is going to change? And
Well, I think the major reason why it's so popular now is because of the Steam Deck, right?
I think it's a contributing factor for sure.
Right. I would say I'm just saying if that's one of the biggest, other than Windows being crap. But
I think there's three things going on. There's Steam Deck, like Jinda said.
mhm.
I think you got Pew, who's got this massive audience, and him
Okay.
doing video that probably brought some folks over. And then you got people's general frustration with Windows 11, going from Windows 10 to Windows 11.
So if you examine those three reasons, it's rough, right? So
Right.
the Steam Deck is an objectively great piece of hardware, and a lot of times people are choosing it over even more powerful or more advanced options. And I think that's a very sustainable reason. I think a bunch of people coming over because of a creator is not a sustainable reason. Because what happens if that creator switches back?
Well, no, but what I
And
think
then-
it does is it introduces people to something they probably didn't know before.
Correct.
Yeah,
But realistically, only a small subset
Sure.
of those people would stay, right?
absolutely.
And then the third reason is contingent entirely on the competition doing poorly.
Right.
So the reason, if people are switching over to Linux because Windows is doing poorly, the moment Microsoft, not likely right now, but let's hypothetical in our crazy worlds, if Microsoft were to improve Windows and solve and fix the problems that people have with it, that entire reason for the population going up goes away. And it's sort of it's sort of a Steve Jobs quote moment where he said that for Apple to win, Microsoft they have to get rid of the idea that for Apple to win, Microsoft has to lose, and they have to embrace for Apple to win, Apple has to do a good job.
But
And like
this
that's the part, right?
this is not, but the question was, why was there the growth, And,
Right. No. Nate's question was like, is this a sustainable trend?
Yeah. And so,
And I don't think those reasons are particularly sustainable, except for the Steam Deck one.
well, I tend to disagree because a couple of things there. Two of my clients are they're through with Microsoft. They're through. I
Sure.
mean, they're getting everything out of there that they can. Now, one of them's a big construction company that has switched to LibreOffice, okay, to get rid of Microsoft Office. They've gotten rid of it. They got an Exchange out of there and put in Linux mail servers, okay.
All right.
They're doing everything they can to get out from under them, and they're even testing desktops. They're not ready to move yet because
Right.
it's just not quite there for them. And then the other one, same deal. And I asked both of these clients what it is that's driving them away from Microsoft, and both clients answered the same thing. Because they're pushing AI down these customers' throats. They don't like it. I mean, some people may like it, but these two didn't. So
Yeah, and there is definitely a push toward that for right now. Like, there's a big push to that, but
That's probably because
these things come in waves, right? Like these, I don't know. It's tough to say exactly on like a micro level, like an individual client level, but Microsoft is still a huge thing, and
sure they are. They always will.
like even on the desktop, like there's like Linux has grown substantially. Like my wife, who is a lifelong Windows user and somewhat Mac user, is on Linux because it works better for her. But her reasons are exactly the same antagonistic reasons that number 3 was, which is she got tired of Microsoft shenanigans, and so she switched to Linux. None of them were technical in nature.
Right.
They were
Right.
entirely like Microsoft's political shenanigans, like
Right.
through, their policies, not political as in like government, but like their policies and stuff, right? And like that was her reason for switching. So if Microsoft were to then change Windows 11 to fix the grievances she had, she would absolutely switch back because none of her reasons were technical, right?
Right.
And I feel like that's the sort of attitude that feels, and this is all feeling, right? This is all like emotion. This has nothing to do with, I can't say like that objectively this approach is bad or objectively this approach is good, but like that feeling around moving to something as sort of a spite move or like a protest of sorts
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily hold water when you were on that thing because you liked it. They did a thing you didn't like, so you moved to something else. How many of those people would just move back if they stopped doing the thing they didn't like?
Well, one of these customers is a multi-million-dollar construction company, and the reason they moved was not because of emotion. It was because after they started looking at alternatives, they saw the value in moving to those platforms for what they're doing now.
For what they're doing, yeah.
Getting rid of Office, I mean, that saved them a ton of money. The retraining was like 1/3 of one of the year's licensing. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it was just crazy stuff like that. And the mail server, that was right now they're still using Outlook, but their plan is to move to another mail client. They're testing several of them right now. But it just, no, I know exactly what you're saying, Adam. But
Yeah.
I think that the thing is when you expose people to this stuff, however they get exposed to it, they start seeing the value of it.
Right. And they might also start seeing the holes in the thing that they already use, right?
Right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So
No, for sure. It's
my point.
valuable, but
Yeah.
it's sort of like, I don't know. It just kind of reminds me of the so like all of the distros around when GNOME 3 came out. And
Yeah.
like everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna go do my own thing or whatever. And it's like,
Right.
yeah, okay, buddy. Like, are you doing it because it's a better thing, or are you doing it because you just didn't like GNOME 3? Like,
And I'll be the first to say to anyone, Linux is its own worst enemy on the desktop
Hmm.
yeah.
because
Absolutely.
the one thing that attracts so many people to it is the one thing that makes it impossible to ever take over.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah. So
There's that sort of contradiction there.
yeah. So it's just, but no, I mean, I'm glad to see more people using it, but
Yeah, same here. Absolutely. Like I don't take my argument as like I don't want it to grow. I would love for it to grow.
I would.
I would love if it was just like 33, 33, 33 and we're good, right?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
I like all technology. I'm a nerd. Like I'm not gonna sit here and plant my flag in sand and say no Windows for me or no Mac for me. I'm just like, why? It's awesome stuff. It's fun. Tinker with it. I'm a nerd.
Yeah.
So, this is just from my perspective. I think my issue with moving to open source solutions as the IT manager of my organization is, it's going to sound bad, but I implement open source solutions whenever I can. If it makes sense and it fits, I'll use it. But let's say I wanted to move people away from Microsoft Office to a different open source solution or even a non-Microsoft solution. We would have to be able to replace the OneDrive and all the collaborative features that exist in that. And then I would have to support those things or find another mechanism to support that. So from a business perspective, for the size of the organization and then our parent and peer organizations that we interact with, all using the same Microsoft Office system, Teams and Teams rooms and stuff like that, I would have to either be a super nerd expert to be able to deploy these things and be able to push it outside the organization, which would be like fat chance, or have very robust locked-in systems that will interact without me having to field
You'd have
constant
to hire
calls.
MSP staff augmentation,
Right.
to handle it, right?
So I am doing things like replacing Adobe Reader, Adobe the professional Adobe Pro, because there are cheaper alternatives out there that are just as good, if not better, that are also that actually have reduced my field calls. So because Adobe is not a very good, like it is a very thorn in the flesh application. There are a lot of times I have to reinstall it because it has these weird failures and it blocks users from being able to use it. So I have to and re-logging into it doesn't fix it. It's just I just got to delete it and reinstall it. A lot of this has happened, and so I'm just finding a better alternative, not because I hate Adobe, but because it's just not a good product. And so I'm just going to move on from that. That's just it. It's just purely a business decision. I don't care. It's cheaper. So there's that. But it's a lot of things like that. Like I have to make a really good case for it. I really want to put maybe in certain like public computers that we use, instead of being Windows 11, I would love to use a Linux variant. But in order to manage those, we do use Active Directory or Domain Controller all locally. So I would have to have great integration with it. You can do it in Linux. You can, but it's not great. And then I suppose I could change out Active Directory with an alternative, but what am I going to do? And then everything that already authenticates to it, I'll have to change all that over. I think I would rather I could see maybe changing out some of the components to being Linux. Like instead of right now we're using Microsoft's DHCP, which is giving me lots of problems. So that seems like a very straightforward. I could drop that in, because nobody would notice or care. There'd be no retraining. It just would be better. Actually, I'd probably use a BSD thing. Actually, what I'm thinking of. But anyway, so I don't know. I'm not sure that. Go ahead.
There's also the talent issue, right?
Which I have none.
But if if you start putting in non-industry standard tools and processes just for the sake of going with open source, you now have an issue of what happens when the guy who knows the stuff is gone. Mm-hmm. Can you hire people who can also support these bespoke DHCP servers and other things that you would put in, right? There's plenty of people out there who are well versed in Active Directory. How many people are well versed in free IPA, right? It's that kind of thing.
I'm versed in IPAs.
Not free ones.
No.
But yeah, it really becomes that too, right? And that's also the same thing about talking about even just the desktop Linux and Windows thing. While I haven't had to support my wife in her Linux stuff, which is awesome because Bazite just rocks, there are people who might need that help, and it's whether or not they have the resources available. And it's that, right? So it can be that issue too. And there's plenty of people who are willing to help, but there's also plenty of people who are willing to help who don't really know what they're doing and will mislead instead of helping.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily maliciously. I'm not assuming malice here. I'm just assuming that they may not actually know what they're doing, and they might end up coming to the wrong conclusions, and that can be tough, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a bigger thing than just let's just throw everybody on Linux and it'll all be utopia.
Yeah, I mean, these guys have been doing this for 2.5 years, making the switch.
Yeah, it's been a long transition, right?
Yeah. And it'll probably be another 5 years before they even have their back office the way they want it,
Right. Yeah. And there are ways to sort of get around some of the shortcomings of not having a solid Active Directory or something like that, but they become so much more complex. Are you going to have how are you going to replace something like a group policy object? You're going to have to roll out an entire MDM solution to replace GPOs. And that's a whole other expense, a whole other thing. Yeah. And so sometimes as much as it pained me, because I work in a mixed environment of Windows and Linux, as a Linux person, when I approach a Windows box, I'm fairly well versed, but for the longest time I felt like smooth brain. I didn't know what I was doing, right? And I go in there, and even today, I'll try to do stuff and I'll just be why can't it just do like Linux? This would be so much easier on Linux. It just makes more sense to me, right? But I have coworkers who are like, they look at like Bash and they're just like, I'm out. You know, like that. You know, like they can't deal with Linux stuff. Linux stuff is just, it's a whole other language. They don't understand it at all. And so like I get that, but you need both because they both have their advantages. And that at the end of the day, we are all like Linux enthusiasts here. That's why we're here, right? We all love Linux. We want to see Linux succeed. But at the same time, there's a reason Windows and Mac exists, whether we like them or not. They serve a certain subset of people. And I feel like Linux could serve more people. And I think you're right that even just people being exposed to it would be good. It's just, man, it's really nuanced and really tough. And I hope it trends up.
I agree. I agree.
But man, it's like I want it to trend up for good reasons, for sustainable reasons. I don't want it to just be like, you know, oh, Copilot sucks, I'm off to Linux, and it's like, well, what happens when you don't care about Copilot anymore, and you're like, man, I sure wish I could play Fortnite. You know, like it's, you know, it's like that, right? So I want them to be sustainable reasons, not just protest reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And also I want to clarify, it was reaches 5% in the USA. So just for clarity purposes, it's not globally 5%. It's like 4.5 globally. So, but with moves like in Denmark and Germany moving toward open source solutions for things, I think that's cool. And I think my hope is with other organizations like spearheading a lot of this stuff, that maybe some of these tools will be kind of worked out as far as, you know, maybe better Active Directory integration with Linux, you know, maybe things like that. Maybe a drop-in replacement for Active Directory that is open source. I don't know. But, you know, Microsoft does a lot of other really cool things too that, you know, that sits behind the curtain for managing your infrastructure. So it's a really hard thing, I think. And I wouldn't want to have to, for an organization the size that I deal with, I wouldn't want to have to swap that stuff out. So at least not at this
Also,
point.
quick note. If we're going to talk about exposing people to Linux as an advantage of this whole thing, the WSL2, we should just be rolling out the carpet for.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Agenda, when he says exposing people, he's not talking about what you're thinking, okay?
I was, but thanks for redirecting it.
I think the clarification was needed.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Adam. That's probably one of the best first steps you can do. You know,
There's going to be that time where someone hits some weirdness with WSL and they're like, maybe I should just run full Linux. I'm doing all this stuff in WSL anyway. Maybe I should just install actual Linux.
I mean, I don't think
I've heard of that many, many times, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think Linux will ever replace Windows or Mac. It's just not going to happen because, like I said, this is.
I wouldn't want it to.
I mean, I'd love it to, but I just don't think that's going to happen in our lifetime.
I would love to see a third split, and we all have fun.
I agree.
I think with a third split, I think then you have a lot better support for Linux for sure. Probably no reason for Linux Saloon, so that would be probably a downside.
No, I disagree with that. Mac is like 25% of the market, and there's tons of Mac podcasts and Mac content out there. No shortage of that, so we would still be here.
Okay, well, probably. But I think though I think there are places where we could put Linux desktop. There's just a couple of missing pieces, and in fact, as an aside, I am actually exploring where we can use Linux for like HMIs instead of Windows 10 in some places. So human machine interfaces that control the machines. So I am exploring that. So we'll see if that actually happens or not. And I would actually get a support contract on it, because back to the whole like Adam's point about is the talent pool there? If we have support for it, you know, you have no Windows support really, but if you have support for software, like a vendor, then it kind of helps to increase the likelihood of actual adoption. So anyway.
Reduce risk.
Yeah, reduce risk for sure. Because if I get hit by by a truck, then that would be problematic for the company that employs me. So anyway, all right. Well, it is about that time. We move into last call. So thank you all for joining, being part of the conversation. I want to kind of go around the horn if you had anything that you want to kick out there. Mike, I know you've been working on some software. Where's that at? No pressure. You can just tell me to go pound sand. That's fine. I don't want to put like you're muted if you're talking. But
I was at a conference this last week, so I didn't get to work on it very much. But I did work on it today some. So.
Totally fine. I look forward to the time when we can actually all play with it.
Yeah, me too.
Well, neat. Ben, how's your Storm OS going? Should I ask?
Going very well. We just finished the July release and working on one of my numerous side projects, a Debian version right now, and just getting that sorted and having fun with that. So
Good.
we'll,
Put that in your laptop.
I actually already did,
Oh,
and the Arch version is slow to fall behind it.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, thanks for being here. Adam,
You're welcome.
anything exciting going on?
Well, new laptop's fun, I guess. Playing video games.
Digi
About
games?
Yeah,
So-
nothing super exciting. I did make an app today that like lets me use sound. It basically replaces a soundboard sound every time you type a key. So I have it just screaming swears when I'm typing keys. But yeah, that's about. I spent today building that, but
gosh. All right.
that's about it. Yeah,
That's hilarious. I like
yeah.
it.
I'll send you a demo video of it.
Okay. I did also, and hopefully I'm not putting the cart before the horse on this, but Adam and I were talking about maybe like, I don't know how busy people are these days. I'm very busy, but I kind of miss some of the, we used to play more games online, like with each other, like just do like silly little, like in Discord, just do things like that. So, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'd like to, if, Adam and I talked about playing something and then maybe, inviting people to hang out in the Discord and whatnot. Is Discord the place to still do that? I don't know. I'm becoming an old man here, and I don't really know what all the hip kids are
Discord
doing.
is the place.
Is the place. Okay, so probably just do Discord, because I don't know if people care to watch it on YouTube or anything like that. So, but anyway, so I thought if someone, I'd like to do that.
That'd be fun.
Stay connected with my virtual nerdy community. Also, Jinda,
Yes,
glad you could be here.
thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Good.
But I'm sorry I got out of control again.
I know. Well, this is something we have to work on, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah, I'm going to increase my medication.
Now,
One of these days, Jinda. One of these.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
is this doctor prescribed or self-prescribed medication?
I think I'm going to go with both.
Okay.
Yeah, mix the two. Why not? I mean, one wasn't working at all, so we might as well just go with the alternative and take both.
Yep. If the wheels fall off, the wheels fall off.
Right.
We're good. Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Dale, the chat wants to know, do you have any videos coming up?
I've actually done pretty good this week. I think it was Sunday. I did an ink stitch video. On Monday, I did a Merlin versus Yast video. On the 7th and 9th, I did a couple more ink stitch videos. And on the 10th, I did a OpenSUSE Agama 16 has arrived video, and it's got a Kalpa option as an installable, which is the KDE Plasma version of Micro OS.
Okay. Do you know that if you go into YouTube in the search and you type low tech Linux and you hit space, you hit the first, what comes up right after that?
No idea.
Ink Stitch.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'll have to check this out. I don't know why I didn't see him. I've not been watching much YouTube-ish content lately. Just been busy. But
I've been pretty busy this week.
yeah, it's cool.
And I dropped a couple of shorts too.
Excellent. Okay. I'll have to check this out. I got to see this Ink Stitch stuff. Because we talked about this before.
Yep.
What's Merlin?
Merlin is the Yast replacement.
Okay.
Merlin is what is going to replace Yast as far as software management, package management, and repository management. And if you watch my video, it looks and acts almost identical to Yast. It's actually a really good replacement.
Sweet. Well, that's exciting. I was worried that we'd lose all the Yast functionality, but I can handle a Merlin as long as it's wearing the big hat with stars on it.
Yeah, it's got a Merlin hat or a Merlin magician as a mascot.
Hopefully, I don't get a takedown on that. Well, cool. Well, thank you very much. I have to watch those here, actually.
And just for the record, since we're talking about it, I really like Merlin, and I really like Agama, which is the OpenSUSE new installer to replace the Yast installer.
Okay.
I really like it.
Have you tried installing headless OpenSUSE of any variety?
No, I have not.
Okay. So one of the neat things about OpenSUSE traditionally is, and I actually haven't done it in a while, but if let's say you had a machine that had no video display, so obviously like kind of a firewall type device. So like OpenSense, if you do that, it'll actually open up a terminal session that you can connect into, so you can serial into it and actually do a serial terminal install. And so my concern about losing Yast installer was like not being able to do that.
The Agama installer is actually kind of designed to do that better.
Oh, really?
It's a web interface.
But right, but if you're installing it without web anything, how would
Well,
that work?
remotely.
Okay, well if it works. Anyway, so neat. I'll have to check some of that stuff out this week. Maybe tomorrow. I try not to watch YouTube while I'm driving. That's one thing. So.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty good idea.
Yeah. I have a website called Cubicle Nate, and also I do a podcast with called Linux Out Loud with my two co-hosts Matt and Wendy. We finally got back together because Wendy's not out and about, and Matt's back from doing whatever he was doing, and so we recorded this week, and it's a nice chat. So that'll come out in the next week or two. So Linux Saloon is part of the Tux Digital Network, so check out more great shows at tuxdigital.com, like Linux Out Loud, the Pseudo Show, and This Week in Linux. Check those out. So I want to thank you for your support, however you do it, being a part of the conversation, both the Zoom meeting, the YouTube stream, as well as for everyone watching the show after the fact. I want to thank everyone involved in making Linux and open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy technology, because Linux truly puts personal back in a personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yous.
Good night, everybody. Woo!